Is that going to be an ice bar? It is an ice bar. Oh, already? Yeah. And then we got a sauna. Wow, that's awesome.
Do you have this recovery area?
Do you use them? Yeah, we use them all the time. Yeah. And then we've got a spare bedroom. How many bedrooms is your place? Seven. Including this one. Including this one. Yeah. So if you come and stay, you can have this one. How often do you come down here and have a cigar? Usually when it's raining. To be honest, you know it's raining. It's every day. No. Like when I want a cigar and it's raining, right? So when I want to have a cigar upstairs on the patio, but it's pissing down, like, let's go in the cigar. Yeah. Right. So I don't think this is not a rain bunker. This is a cigar lounge. When we're back in Bali, we'll have to do a gym session. I'm up for that. Yeah, I'm up for that.
It's great to have you. I want to do a quick intro. We met how long ago? Maybe no, even longer, maybe 2 years now.
A year and a half, yeah.
Year and a half. And I remember from the first time I met you, I was like, it's so cool to be exposed to people that are doing like, you know, big things. And I remember we even had this one conversation and it was, that really inspired me. It was that you're like going to fly private. I'm not sure if you ended up doing that or not, but you were like, oh, you know, I haven't flown private yet. I'm going to do it this year. And like, when I heard that, I was just instantly inspired. And I think it's just great to be around people that are doing big things because yeah, it really expands me. And yeah, I'm so excited to be here and dive into a bit of the mindset that got you here. And then also, you know, what's going to get you to the next level. So
let's do it. No, big pleasure, man.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Cool.
First question. So you're doing what? Maybe 580K a month, something like that, right?
Depending on the month, between about 450 and about 600K a month cash.
Nice. Yeah. That mindset that got you from, say, like, let's just pick a random number like 20K or 10K. What was the mindset that got you from there? And like the version of you that got you there to like that 580K month or 600K months that you hit now?
Well, it happened very slowly, right? So I would say probably 2019, I did about $250,000 for the total of 2019. So 30K per month. And the mindset that really helped me get to the next level, because the next year we did 1.3, right? So we went from $250,000 in 2019 to 1.3 mil 2020. And the mindset was, I felt like there's something that I don't know. I had this mindset like, you know, because I saw like Alex Becker and Sam Ovens and all these other big guys in this space doing much bigger numbers. And my attitude was like, they know something that I don't know. So I bought Alex Becker's consulting program. I joined Sam Ovens' mastermind. I learned like paid ads and funnels and copywriting. And that got us from about 30K a month to about $250,000 a month by the end of that next year. So I guess the first mindset was understanding that I don't know what I don't know. Trusting other people to give me that information to bridge the gap. And from there, it was just kind of taking action, really. Another thing that really helped me was, do you know what an alchemy of self document is?
Yeah.
So when I was in Sam Ovens' mastermind, I found out what that document was. And I built out the document of who I need to be to get what I want to have. You know, I always find it really useful, even today, to kind of, I'm good at designing the identity that I need to have to get to the next level. You know, and the way that I do that, so one of my goals is to become a billionaire one day, right? And I think the difference between a goal and a dream is crafting the identity and making it real and taking the action that allows you to achieve it.
Agreed.
You know, and the way that you do it is pretty simple. You just like understand where you want to go, what needs to be done, you know, who do you need to be to do it, and then you design it, and then you've just got to lie to yourself. You know, I'm very good at lying to myself. You know,
too.
And it's helped me get to where I am today, where I just like rile myself up and convince myself I can do it. And when I can sell myself, then I take the action and then I get the outcome all the time.
Amazing. So that identity that you have now, because you said a big part of your, I guess, success has been from changing your identity. The identity that keeps you at, say, 500-600K a month, where does that have to change to get you to, say, $1 million a month or the billionaire level you want to get to?
Subconscious rewiring, man. Subconscious rewiring. Like, where to start? Where to start? Well, I don't know, man. I think it's always learning and then action and then you grow and you get stuck. And then you've got to learn again and then take action and grow. And that's what we've been doing recently. So our next goal is $1 million a month cash, right? And to create that identity, it's been the same journey as back in between 2019 and 2020, where it's more learning what needs to be done from the people that have already done it. One thing that I really value as well is learning from people that have already done it. You can see who they are, how do they speak, how do they act, and you can kind of absorb that and almost copy it and model it. You know, another thing that really helped me was moving to Dubai as well, because that gave me that kind of, you know, I live in Dubai, I live in a very expensive building with beautiful views. It makes you more of the successful person, you know. So that's another way to achieve success, is just fucking physically put yourself where success is, and then you kind of soak it up. And that does amazing things for your identity as well.
Are you a believer that success comes from believing it first before you get there? Or do you think it has to go the other way around? You know, you can only create more success once you have the success.
What? Give me an example.
So let's say you shared before when you love to do identity work, right? Like the alchemy of self.
Yeah.
And you had to visualize you being there already almost in order to get there. So like you would say that you kind of believe that, you know, you have to have that identity first and then you can step into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing that has really helped me, right? So on the Alchemy of Self document, you've got the squares with your goals in order. And when you start, you've basically got loads of black squares and you haven't achieved anything yet, right? But as you achieve the goals, you start to build momentum and you start to believe in yourself. It was like, wow, well, I did that one, and I did that one, and I did that one, and blah, blah, blah. And you almost like, it's got to a stage where I believe that if I put something on that board, I'm going to get it because I've got everything else, you know? So then you can start to go a little bit bigger with the goals, and you develop the identity of someone who achieves their goals, you know, exactly. no matter what. That takes time, but that's another little part of it as well, is teaching yourself to know that you can achieve your goals. And I think a lot of people don't have that. I think a lot of people are like, I want to become a millionaire. I've got 20 grand in the bank. Fucking hell, you know, it's a bit of a jump.
Yeah.
But you kind of teach yourself over time that it can be done. And you can also borrow that from other people that have done it.
Exactly.
And then you can kind of make it real for yourself.
Yeah. I think it's so spot on that you need to kind of fail, you need to learn. Because like, if you're not taking action, right, you're not going to get at least the, you know, the value and the perception that you can actually start to like teach yourself to do bigger things, right? Like what you said earlier was whenever you're trying to like increase your identity or get to a certain level, it's like you'll learn from someone and then you'll try it and then like you go back and then you just keep going back and you kind of have taught yourself that you are that person, that you are someone that can learn and get to whatever level he wants to get to, right?
Yeah. The place where we are at right now, because we've actually been stuck for about 1.5 years between about 450 on the low end and about 610 on the high end. And every single month we're between those brackets for 1.5 years now, which is good because it's stable and consistent, but bad because we're not growing. And it's part strategy and building the team for the scale and spending the money on ads that you need for the scale. So it's part logistical stuff to do. But there is a part of it where I think my identity, there's a bit of a wall where I'm like, well, I've got everything I ever dreamed of. Why the fuck do I need $1 million a month? There's really no point apart from the fun of the goal and the enjoyment of building. But there's definitely been something in me where, you know, I'll give you a tangible example. Like we know that statistically, we need to spend this much on ads. We need 6 closers. We need 2 CSMs, and we need this. But I just didn't build out the team. And I think subconsciously, because I knew, hire 2 more closers, hire 2 fucking CSMs and spend 170 grand on ads. But I just didn't do it for months. You know, and then recently I sat down with a friend who is also a mindset consultant called Neuro Knowledge. And he was like, you're too comfortable. You know, you need to think from the place of already having done it and then act in that manner and do what needs to be done. So it's a bit of a chain, you know.
I agree. I think what you described though, being like blocked, what comes up for me when you share that is that like there's a part of you that wants it, like a big part of your conscious brain that's like, I really want to get to $1 million a month. But then there's a part of you that knows if it gets there, it might be a bit uncomfortable. What do you feel?
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Dude, I completely agree. I was on a call with one of my business partners, and he basically said the same thing. He said to me, like, do you think you'll enjoy it when you get to that goal? And I was like, oh, I don't know, man. I think this is probably going to break. And I think I'm going to have to do this, which I don't really want to do. And he was like, that's why you're not there. Because you know that when you get there, you're going to feel like that. So you're kind of stopping yourself a little bit. That was a very revealing conversation, man. A very revealing conversation.
Yeah. I love this thing that Tony Robbins says. He calls it a moonshot. Have you ever heard of a moonshot?
No.
It's basically where you create like a vision of where you want to get to. And it's such a big vision and like it's so powerful for you that it like literally pulls you to get to that outcome. So like, let's say you want to, you know, serve a certain amount of people or you want to help like a certain amount of people, because you have such a big vision and because you feel it's going to be like such an amazing accomplishment, like you kind of just end up getting there and you end up pushing yourself there without having like a lot of those blockages come up. I guess, is there something maybe bigger than you that you want to achieve through getting to $1 million a month? Because obviously now it's like you love the game, you want to get to the number just for the sake of getting to the number. But is there a part of you that wants to, you know, have this amount of impact or, you know, help a certain type of person, or what would you say?
Well, I definitely agree with what you said there, because I think going from nothing in my bedroom with my parents to selling the first company, I think that I wanted it so much that just overcame everything else, you know. But that was kind of the height of my dreams and ambition, you know. And then this business was just more originally just for fun, really. And now I don't have any really grand ambitions now, you know. I just find it very fun. It's a fun challenge every day. You know, I enjoy solving the puzzle and working with the clients and making the money and stuff. But yeah, there's no grand vision now because I've achieved really everything that I wanted to achieve, you know, and that's probably one of the things that's stopping me as well. Yeah.
Do you believe though, because I've thought about this a lot, I've been at plateaus, you know, income-wise before, like plenty of times, but there's always this thing that comes in the back of my head that, you know, if I'm just trying to get to the number for the sake of getting to the number, we end up stopping ourselves, right? So I guess, like, are you a big believer that, you know, the person you become is the most valuable thing rather than just getting the thing? Like, you right now, you want to get through these plateaus, right? Is that because you want to become that person that can go through these, like, you know, ebbs and flows and really like come out the top? Or is it more a thing of like, you just want to get there for the sake of it, do you think?
Well, it's certainly not the money, you know, because the money's irrelevant now. It's more for the challenge. You know, I like that it's hard. I like solving it, you know, and like making it work. So I guess, yeah, I mean, it is because I think the reason I want to get there is to prove to myself that I am good enough to get there. You know, that other people can't and I can. So
why is that important to you?
The reason it's important to me is because otherwise, if I'm not fighting a battle or solving a problem, I feel unfulfilled. And I just feel like, what the fuck am I going to do? There's nothing to do, you know? So I just love playing the game, really. Yeah.
Does it have to be a battle to enjoy it? Like for you, do you feel like there's a version where like you can, like right now, your day to day, do you feel like you like really enjoy everything? Like the way you're building it and stuff?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah,
nice.
I do.
But it's just when you hire maybe more people, you feel like that might be more stress.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned how to do it the right way now. So I did it the wrong way in my first company, man, where everything was a real fucking battle. That's for sure. It's a lot easier and smoother and more fun now. And that's down to the culture of the team, because the team culture is just so good now. But it feels like I wouldn't say battle. You know, I think battle is the wrong word. But it's definitely, it's like, I find it like juggling. You know, like one ball is in the air and you've got to, but you've got to think about this and think about this. And there's constantly something moving and chaining it. It's almost like it's almost a dynamic beast that never, there's always something good and there's always something bad. There's always a problem to solve. And I kind of like that, to be honest.
Amazing. Yeah. So the identity that got you here, right? You feel like a part of you wants to get to $1 million a month, then a part of you wants to be comfortable and obviously have a fulfilling life. How do you feel, or what is the part of you that you maybe have to let go now to like get to that $1 million a month?
What do I need to let go? You mean within the business or within myself?
Within yourself.
I was hoping you were going to say the business, because that's a much easier answer.
It is.
The thing that I need to let go within myself is trying to, well, this is just maybe unique to me, but I love playing a more active role myself. And people say to scale, just you've got to hire everything out and remove yourself. For me, I find the opposite. So for me, it's learning what I love, doing what I love more, letting go of the things that I don't, and within myself, I think control. I think letting go of control and just enjoying the journey, to be honest, rather than trying to force it. That's what I'd say.
When you have the control, do you feel like you don't enjoy it as much, or you do enjoy it when you have the control?
I think I enjoy it more when I have control, because I like to play a part and I find doing it fun, right? But I think I'm too in the weeds, right? I had this experience once where, for the first time in my career, I went to Thailand for 6 weeks with my girlfriend, and I was just like, you know what, fuck this shit, right? Fuck the fucking business. I do not fucking care. And we had the best, months that we'd ever had. And I was like, that's really interesting. When I don't care, I make way more money. And when I do care, it's harder, So there's definitely something in that. When you let go of control, things generally come to you. And it's kind of like, when you chase a girl, they don't like you. When you don't give a fuck, it's kind of different. It's kind of the same thing.
Why do you think it works like that?
I don't know. I'm looking for that answer from you.
Yeah.
Tell me, please.
Okay, sure. So my thoughts is, whenever you chase after something, there's always like a positive and a negative force, right? Same with a magnet. If you hold two opposites, or maybe it's two positives of a magnet, one is always pushing it away. So I feel like if you're constantly chasing after the thing you want, you create so much attachment, and then it ends up just pushing it away, because you end up either moving from a place of, you're overthinking, and then you ended up saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong method to scale. So I think it's just, really dropping that attachment is the biggest part of it, because if you hold on to something too much and you feel like there's you need this thing, it's never going to end up happening. Obviously you can get there through push, and I know a big part of my success early on was all just push energy, a lot of grind, a lot of fear of not being enough. But then as soon as you start to drop that, you can start to think so much bigger and smarter. Because I think what you described then, having so much control, perhaps there's a part of you that feels like if you drop that control, then everything's going to come crumbling down. And I think assessing where that started, I think is the best thing that anyone can do.
Yeah.
Was there a part of you that felt like you needed to control things maybe earlier in your business, or maybe even like earlier in life, where that meant success, or that meant a certain amount of love, or anything like that?
I wouldn't say so, no, but I do know that I've had 2 quantum leaps, right? And both of them was when I didn't actually have a goal. So the first one was when we went from $250,000 a month to 2.5 million, no, sorry, 250K in a year to 2.5 million in a year. We didn't have a goal. We were just let's fucking do it and just go. And then the second one was when I sold the company and started the YouTube channel. And then we went from 0 to 600K a month in fucking 7 months, And again, I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a plan. It was just let's just do it.
Did you put pressure on yourself?
No,
in that period?
I didn't even fucking care.
And do you feel like you put pressure on yourself now sometimes?
I put pressure on myself. Technically, yes, because I want to get to the goal, and I'm trying to get to the goal, and I'm working towards getting to the goal. But I wouldn't say pressure, no, because I don't need it. I kind of want it, but it is definitely different, because when I didn't have a goal, I far exceeded. And when I do have a goal, it's a little bit harder, I would say, yeah.
Because when I look at you, I'm like, this guy could easily get to $1 million a month. You know, I think it's just holding that belief that like, I don't need to feel the pressure and I don't need to like, you know, need it so bad to get there, because you've got everything, right? That you need to get there, basically. You know, you've got the audience, you've got everything, you've got the team. It's just a matter of like, how can I dissolve that pressure? Because that's when you got the biggest quantum leaps, right? You know, you've had 2 already and you just described then you didn't have the pressure then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, man, to think back, because I've never really thought about that until this very moment with you today. But yeah, the quantum leaps came from actually not having a goal. Yeah, I mean, the goal, technically the goal the first time was like, make as much money as possible, scale as far as possible, and just go. But there was no goal. And then the second time, again, it was the same thing. It was like, let's just see how far we can go with no goal. So maybe, what do you think? Do you think having a goal is a hindrance?
I think having a goal is a great thing. It just depends what you attach to that goal.
Yeah.
Like if there's fear, if there's attachment, then it's always going to be harder to get there, right? Like you experienced it twice where you had no pressure and you were just going with the flow. I think what often catches a lot of people, I've noticed, like entrepreneurs, is they attach to like a certain way that worked in the past, and then they forget what actually genuinely worked and what made them feel the best. So like maybe there was a part of you that, you know, after you had those big quantum leaps, you then, you know, started to like do well, or you were consistent, and then your brain started to learn, oh, I need to have like constant control, or I need to feel pressure in order to sustain this, or whatever it is. And then we end up like keeping that pattern going because it's what feels comfortable and what feels safe. So yeah, I think like that realization alone, hopefully, will be like something that helps you.
I hope so, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, they say that you should have a goal, but the thing that has always been better for me is just doing it, you know, and just enjoying the building, enjoying the learning, enjoying the doing. And when you do that, it kind of does come to you, actually. That's been my experience, yeah.
What are you afraid would happen? Or maybe not afraid, but what comes up in your mind that if you were to like drop control and you were to, you know, just rely on like, you know, operations manager or whatever you end up getting in place, what do you think's going to happen?
I think I'd have a lot less fun, you know, because I could remove myself from this business and hire out full departmental teams and get out, but I'd be bored as fuck, right? So there's a lot of it that I really love. It kind of feels like play, like art to me, which is nice. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm a big believer that at any point in time we can like reintroduce a new belief into our mind that can serve us at like a higher level. And I think what you described then, you know, lots of people have told you have to separate yourself from the business and you have to like let go of control. But maybe the best thing for you is just to like realize that you can do it while also having complete control like you do now because you love it. It's like that's going to be a belief that's going to serve you much better than, you know, I can't be in this or I can't have control in order to get to that next level. And all it takes is a decision as well. You know, it doesn't mean that, you know, just because you have this belief now that you can't just change it. I think just having that belief, do you think that would serve you, having that new belief of I can still be in the business? And obviously a part of you loves being in the business. So could that serve you, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, like when I do, this is a bit off topic, but when I do the gym with my personal trainer, right, we always joke to each other, yeah, oh, this is too easy. This is just too easy, man. When it's really hard, I'm like, that's too easy. It's too easy.
It's like lightweight, baby. Like,
yeah,
really
and it's like, we always laugh about it. Like, I'm almost dead on the floor. I'm like, it's too easy. It's too easy, man. But it's a helpful belief. You know, it does, even though you're lying to yourself, it actually really helps. And I think I could use doing that in the business more, to be honest, where we just joke around, it's too easy, man. It's just too easy. And it's fun and helpful to do that, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, new beliefs just being spoken to existence, that is certainly true. And I know it's true and I believe it's true. I wish more people did as well.
Yeah, like why try and fit what you're doing into a box, right? Like the box right now is that you know, you have to let go of control to scale. But maybe you could just create a new one where it's like, I could be in the business more because I genuinely love it. And that's still going to get us to $1 million a month.
I believe it. I believe it, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I guess, man, like for me right now, obviously you've been like doing business for how long? Like over 10 years?
Well, I mean, technically, since I was very young, because I used to film and edit and sell skateboard videos when I was young, and then I produced a graffiti magazine that I wrote and took all the pictures for and designed and shit and sold those. Then I was a musician. You know that I was a musician.
Yeah, DJ, right?
Yeah, so that was a full-time career for like 6 years, DJing around the world and all that stuff. That taught me a lot about business, man. Communication, contract management, performance, capital management, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I've been doing businessy things for fucking since I was like 17 or something like that. But in this info space, 7 years.
Nice. Yeah. And your last company, how much did you sell that for? It was multi-millions, right?
Yeah, so we grew it from 0 to 16.4 million and sold it to private equity for 2.6x the net profit.
Nice. Yeah. Wow. And that, like once you had that, right, did you feel like the results kind of gave you that new, almost, what's the word, belief in yourself? To have like that business sell, do you feel like that kind of leveled up the way you thought and like the way you felt about yourself? Or was it maybe the opposite? Like,
no, it definitely, that's why I wanted to sell it, because I wanted that accolade for my identity, you know, both for me and for the brand as well, you know, because I thought if I can sell a company, especially for that fucking sum, to a good buyer, I mean, you can't argue with that, because you just can't argue with that because it's so hard to do. So that definitely made me feel better about myself, feel better as an entrepreneur. It gave me an edge in terms of identity and blah, blah, blah as well. So yes.
Yeah. I guess what's like, I want to know what Will Brown actually wants now. Like he's got like pretty much everything, right? Like that money can buy.
Yeah.
What do you genuinely want now? What lights you up?
I want to make more money for sure, because it's fun to do, and I like making it and investing it and growing it and stuff. I find that to be a very fun game. I try and only do things that I want to do now, that I find fun. So anything that I don't want to do, I just don't do it now. And the one thing that really drives me is the fulfillment and it's just such a good feeling of when you help people to do what they think they can't do. You know, I just love that challenge, man. It's just the best thing in the world. I just love working with them. And I feel like I'm one of the best in the world at doing this. And it's just really fun and fulfilling to help people do it that are way further behind. You know, so we have a mission statement at the company: make money, have fun, and help people. Those are the three things that I love kind of doing, really, yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah. So I'm talking to Will. It's 6 months down the track.
Yeah.
You've hit the $1 million a month mark. What is the beliefs and the identity that you kind of had to let go of in order to be there?
The beliefs and identities I'd have to let go of to get to that stage. The beliefs and identities. Maybe the belief that it's a big number. The belief that it's a challenge. And maybe the belief that, because I see it as a bit of a hard thing to do. And maybe that's the wrong way to think. Maybe I need to think that it's a very easy thing to do. Identity-wise, well, this is one of the reasons that I want to get there, because when I get there, that will become a part of my identity. And I think that's the problem. I think it needs to be part of the identity now to get there, not get there to make it part of my identity. So I would say bridging that gap.
How can you do that?
I can do that by believing it now, today. But it's it can be a bit of a hard thing to do, though, because you've got to pretend, and it can be hard to pretend because we're taught as you know, be logical, be the truth. You know, what is the truth? What are the facts? And I'm a very logic-based person. Whereas that's a bit, what's the word? Esoteric, you know, because it's kind of not real. Yeah. Just things like that, I would say.
Yeah. Have you ever watched much of like Bob Proctor's stuff? Do you know much of his stuff?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him, Earl Nightingale, that's who he was mentored by. And I love this thing that like logic is the worst possible thing that we can like believe in. Definitely you want to believe it from a standpoint of like, you know, it can serve you in the business. You know, I spend this much, it's going to get me to this level in ads or, you know, whatever. But I think to have the logic that, you know, $1 million a month is so hard and, you know, not many people have done it, like that's going to always make it seem so much harder to get there. And I think another belief that you said, which was, I think, a really, really good thing that like you're aware of this, is that if I think that 1 million is a big number, then obviously it's going to be more challenging,
Of
right?
course.
So I think there's some really good things to, you know, let go of, and it sounds like you are. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after doing this for so many years and going through so many different things and transformations and, you know, so many different people and so on and so forth, I'm always kind of in the middle of logic and emotion, you know. So I've kind of got to be a bit logical for me and clients, but I've also got to understand what we're talking about today. And I mean, one thing that I think is very important is just, you know, when you just do it and you enjoy it without a goal, it's usually easier. Like we were talking about earlier with the whole, I love the magnet example. You know, that's, I think, a very relatable example for a lot of people.
100%. Amazing. Cool, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
One thing from me, why do you want to go to Dubai?
It's a good question. Definitely the opportunities. Like the network is so much different. Obviously, I don't want to be one of those guys that's just like, oh, like, you know, network. I need to meet people to like get to a certain level.
Yeah.
But it's more just the people you get exposed to, right? I think like everyone there, we were chatting about it on the bike over. Everyone in Dubai, they have to be making minimum 10 to 20K a month plus, like minimum. Exactly.
Minimum.
Yeah. So I think just that as a thing is great.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think just being exposed to those people. Obviously, there's a lot of opportunity going on there. So yeah, I would say they're the main reasons. And then, like I said earlier, which you hate, maybe I'll go to Miami soon. But bro, there's going to be so many good opportunities. So
Yeah, true that.
have you been there to Miami?
Yeah, I've been there a few times, yeah.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
It's an exciting place for sure, and there is a lot of opportunity, and it's great for business and growth. One thing I really like about Dubai is there's kind of an entry standard. You know, if you're not making enough and you're not the right person, you just can't survive there.
Exactly.
You know, one thing that really helped me earlier in my career was just pushing myself. You know, so renting somewhere that I thought was a bit too expensive. You know, just to push yourself. If your comfort zone, say 3K a month, get somewhere for fucking 6K.
That's what we're doing this time. We're getting a place like right in front of the Burj. So we got like the Burj Khalifa, whatever the place is called, view. Because yeah, we want to just push ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like create that identity, believe that you're already there, and then the more you do that, the easier it's going to be there. So.
Yeah, dude, that's such an easy hack, man. Look, if you put yourself in like this is a bit far, but if you put yourself in like a Palm Jumeirah mansion that's 40 grand a month, you know, you'd feel like that person that lives in it, and it really pushes your identity up almost automatically. Stuff like that, buying a nice watch, having a nice car, you know, going out for expensive dinners that are just ridiculously expensive. These things really are good for your identity, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because definitely, you know, you got the nice watch, you got a nice place.
Yeah.
But also, I notice you seem very like careful with your money in some ways too, right?
Yeah.
Would you say you are? Well, not careful, but like smart about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you could say yes, because I have this big net worth tracking sheet. Every 7 days I update my cash. I'm always looking at it, you know, investing in this thing and this thing and this thing to keep the money and grow the money and manage the money. So from that sense, you could say yes. But equally, I'm not scared of spending money.
No.
You know, like I've brought my parents out here, that cost like 25 grand. My girlfriend had to fly home. That was like fucking 10 grand for the flights and stuff. So I don't mind spending money, but I do keep an eye on it, yes.
Keep an eye.
Yeah.
Smart. Very cool. Awesome. Anything else?
that's it from me, I think.
Me too. It's been great.
Big pleasure.
Love
man.
this.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.